Give it
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your boys at the 1973 podcast, and we're rolling this week. We're chucking it up, we're trying to tell the fellas not to waste the good comedy before we go on. So let's hit it running. Playing with the podcast is playing with my emotions, Edward. So you know how we do it. One watch, everybody knows the rules. To start the episodes, we get into our movie talk. Probably one of my favorite segments that we've ever done. So, Ed, was your pick? One watch, everybody knows the rules.
all
The
right.
movie was
So the movie was
Friday.
Friday, but let me read the script, man. For
There you go.
Hold it now. Hold it now. All right. All right. Look, I'm bringing some good stuff tonight. Okay. Hey there, podcast fans. You ready to show off your love for the 1973 podcast? We've got over 20 different designs of t-shirts and hoodies that capture the essence of classic stuff. Whether you're a fan of the show or just love that retro feel, we've got something for everyone. All right, from bold prints to subtle notes to your favorite personalities, each piece is made with top-notch quality. In that timeless style that you crave, perfect for lounging at home or making a statement out and about. Don't wait, our collection is flying off the shelves. Fasten you say, don't be cheap, buy a shirt. Visit us at bonfire.com and grab one of your favorites before they're gone. And check us out at the 1973 Podcast T-shirt store on the YouTube. Just click the link below. All right. So the movie that I chose was Friday. Okay. First of all, it checks all the boxes. Is it quotable? Yes. It is a timely classic. Yes. I mean, it is one of those movies that you can sit there and you can watch it over and over and over again. I mean, one of my favorite lines is "Stop being a bitch and come on." And then the timeless classic is "Bob Felicia." Okay, I mean that has been. I mean, people have brought that in and out and about and all that other stuff, and they turned it all around. I mean, it is followed pop culture. It is followed like into bullet rooms and everything like that by Felicia. So I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. It's one of my favorite movies. You know, there are some really classic lines in there. Stop being a bitch and come on, like right there. That's my bike, punk. I mean, you got knocked the fuck out. Sorry, I mean, I know that's the one. That's the one I can get. I mean,
Good
come
show.
on. I mean,
Kid show.
it's a kid show, but like that. I mean, that is the
We're
direct.
not on a delay here. We can't
That
we
is
can't go
on.
back and bleep it.
No gorilla editing.
That is that is a direct quote from the movie. That that is not ad-libbing or anything like that. That is direct from the movie. And I watched it again yesterday. It really and the 90 minutes went by so fast. The acting in it is just funny because it's really about two guys just kind of hanging out. And like you miss those days because the one thing that you noticed that I noticed especially was the home phone. Nobody had a cell phone. And it was just two guys just hanging out, and it was just fun. And I thought that it was a kind of like the piece of talking about, because all the movies that had come out from then, like Boys in the Hood and everything like that, was always talking about gangbang and how dangerous the hood was and everything like that. And I thought that there was a scene where Craig's dad was like, "This makes you a man," but you wake up the next day, and that really was kind of telling, especially with all the movies that had come out up until that point. So I'm going to rate it at 8.3. I think it was a great movie. It's a timeless classic. It crosses over. It's a great movie. Does it rival Slapshot with the F word? Yes, it does. But entertaining, yes. And is it a total, un-PC way to say this? Is it a guy's movie? Yes, it sure is. But I love it. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's just enjoyable to watch. And it brings me kind of back to, when Andy, Brian, and Tom and myself used to hang out all the time. And it kind of just was how we kind of break each other's balls. So I'm gonna turn it over to you.
We try to do it on the podcast, but you get a little upset. So
no, I don't get upset. It's just because of censors, man. We all have human resources. I mean, come on now. Like we all have jobs to feed ourselves. We all have you all have families, and I have myself, and I need my job because like I like to like hit that thermostat button, and like when it's really hot here in Florida, I click it down. All of a sudden, this magical thing turns on, and all of a sudden, it's nice and cool in my apartment. Or like when it's kind of chilly down here, and I in quotation fingers, and I hit that button, it goes up, and all of a sudden, the heat comes on. It's amazing. And I love it when I open up my fridge and like, oh wow, there's eggs and there's milk and butter and there's chicken and some spinach. I like that in my life. Just saying.
Ed
Hey,
needs heat
Moose.
down in Florida. He's gotten soft.
Hey, dude, 20 degrees is 20 degrees, Thomas.
True stories.
That is true.
Look, man. I don't know about you, but look, I'm an antique and I'm kind of old, and the old, unfortunately, they haven't created a WD-40 for humans yet, and I need that. Trust me.
It's not antique, Ed. It's vintage. Let's go vintage.
All right, vintage, antique, same difference. It's semantics.
So I'll go next on this one. So I watched it yesterday. I didn't watch it with Ed, but I did watch it yesterday. Still holds up for me. I think that there's a very good message in there for the time frame and what they're trying to get across. Very reminded me of like a Good Times kind of vibe, like from the TV show with John Amos and JJ and then all that stuff. It was really cool. There was just one part that I thought didn't really fit the movie. Watching it again was the drive-by scene where they're kind of shooting and all that stuff, and they're on the roof, and it just kind of didn't. Watching it again, the flow of the movie's great. It just that part seems not to fit well in the movie. I would have rather have seen that not in the movie. Looking back on it, they're shooting at them outside of Craig's house, and no, it wasn't like bullets went into Craig's house or anybody got hit. They were on the roof of the garage. Then they were on the other street on the other side. So I was a little, not that I don't love the movie because I do, but I just found that part, if it wasn't done for some kind of like maybe a death out of out of the blue, or maybe they wrote it in as possibly maybe the father gets shot or the mother gets shot or something like that, and they cut that part out or whatever. But I really enjoyed it watching it again. I thought it was great. I agree with everything Ed said about the message of sitting around like at the time where before cell phones, and the movie's kind of dated if you look at it that way. But my score on this movie, because I thought Chris Tucker did steal the whole movie. The second one and the third one are kind of unwatchable. It seems like there's a theme with some of these movies that the first one and then later on the other ones, they kind of they kind of captured lightning in a bottle in the first one, and remakes and sequels, I should say, don't really hold up as well as the first one. So you might get mad at me. I'm going to score this one a little low, maybe for controversy for the crew, but I'm going 7-6 on Friday. Thomas,
I have a question. Are you grading this kind of like a Neapolitan pizza? Is that where you're going with this?
no, I know what we've scored before, and I'm trying to just stay in that baseline of, trying to look at everything from the collection, because we're doing a lot of movies that I, owned. So I'm just looking at them and I'm saying, well, if I owned it, it's kind of going to be up there. There are some movies that I owned that I bought when things were, when we were buying a lot of stuff. It just, I don't know, looking back on the big hit and things like that, I'm surprised that I bought movies like that. But it was the DVD craze at the time, and you wanted to consume as much as you could. So at Friday, I really enjoyed watching it again, and watched it with a different Siskel and Ebert style of watching it. And I do love the movie. I just thought that the drive-by shooting scene was a little bit unnecessary, unless there was going to be like a heartfelt thing that came out of that. Somebody got shot, the sister, or maybe the father, after he said, about being a man or whatever. So my score.
You liked it, but it had the thick crust.
It did. I liked it, but the crust was a little crunchy for me. Thomas.
All right. I loved the movie. I mean, I won't say I loved it. I liked it. You guys kind of took all the low-hanging fruit. So rather than go over the same thing you guys said, I thought John Witherspoon as the uncle, I think it was the uncle, he was scene stealer for me. Besides Chris Tucker, I thought he was one of the funniest.
He was the father.
Yeah. Funniest, I thought besides Chris Tucker, he was the funniest character in the movie. I found a few interesting facts when I was looking into this. They filmed this movie in 20 days in South Central LA. And because it was in South Central LA, everybody on the set was banned from wearing any red colors because they didn't want to be mistaken for somebody in a rival gang. And the thing that I thought was really interesting is the girl who played Felicia with the whole "Bye Felicia." Her son grew up to be the starting quarterback for the University of Miami from 2014 to 2016 and actually got drafted in the NFL. And kind of 6 degrees of New England, the Patriots had the pick and traded it to the Detroit Lions, and the Lions took him. He's no longer in the league. He retired, I think, in 2019, but I thought that was pretty interesting. But my score, I gave it, I'm trying to go by what I gave other things scores by, and I'm going with a comedy. I don't think it's as good as old school, different type of comedy, but I thought it was better than the Scrooge, so I'm going with 7.3.
Damn.
Darren went with a 7.9, and Shaggy, I believe, texted us, and he went with an 8.3.
All right, Phantom, what do you got?
I got to boost this sucker up here, guys are killing me a little bit.
Thank you, Ryan.
This shit's fucking funny, boys. This is a funny movie.
Yes, it is.
I mean, this was pretty much the introduction of Chris Tucker. Like everybody said, he's so funny in this. But John Witherspoon to me is like he's like the silent star. He doesn't have as big of a pop, but he knocks it out of the park every time he was on. The man's hilarious. Like if you watch any of his comedy stuff, he's a funny dude. I thought it was like pretty much kind of something like what Ed said. You're watching it. It's not really heavy plot by any means. It's just two dudes hanging out, and everything that happens is stuff that happens in there daily. So it's I thought it was for a movie that I actually saw with Andy. We went into that movie just knowing that Ice Cube was in it. Didn't really know anything about it. And we both walked out of there freaking cracking up laughing. So it's definitely it brings me straight into that mid '90s prime Ryan. You know what I mean? That's the heyday. Give me that 3-year window. Fantastic. So I'm going 8.4. Pick up your scores, boys.
Thank you, Ryan. I want to just say this, Andy. I can't believe you didn't bring up Hector.
Oh yeah.
I am so shocked at you. I am. Mr. Andrew, I have known you since the 7th grade, and I am so disappointed in you right now. Like, I mean, it is truly "Bye Felicia." I mean, seriously, I am so shocked that you did not bring that up.
There's so many things about this movie that I want to talk about from a NC-17 perspective, but I'll just let it lie with my score, and we'll move on.
Again, we all have human resource departments, so I mean that's what it comes down to.
You know, not to steal away from what we're doing, but I was at a state tournament in Marlboro this weekend, and I had the parents freaking laughing because when I am there, I have no ties to nobody. I'm not coaching no more. I'm there for my kid. I could give two craps about your kid. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. I was just yelling random hockey cliches out there, pucks deep, hockey ready, just popping like the 7 or 8 parents that were around me because they had never heard outlandish stuff like that. It's like when you cut the political stuff out of it and you have freedom, it's unbelievable how, you know, just being yourself and making other people laugh and, you know, maybe they want to say stuff, but they don't. That's the best part about it. And this movie's kind of like that too. It's just about having fun and the one-liners, and you can the thing that cracks me up about pop culture is if you're really on the pulse of what's going on and you retain a lot of fun stuff, you can wait like 6 or 7 years and use that, and people will think it's yours. And you're just retaining stuff that you use from movies or TV or stuff like that, and they think you're the funniest person in the room, and you're really just regurgitating other people's stuff. So
the thing that's funny about that movie too is that it kind of brings me back to certain like stuff that I can remember as a kid that they brought back in this movie. Like I can remember being like junior high school, and you had those certain kids would be coming around, and you had your gold chain on, and when you see them coming, you'd be like, put that thing right in your shirt so that they wouldn't see it, and like that shit was in the movie, so it just hits a spot with me. It's just right there.
That's growing up in where you grew up in a different, because we didn't have gold chains and we didn't have people that did that.
That,
Get a gold chain, damn it.
the
I had to go
kid
get my
that
herringbone
kid-
one, but unfortunately, I think that there was one time we were messing around on the ice and it gets ripped off my body.
it happens. Stuff happens. You're not supposed to retain that info, Ed.
I know, just saying. So we've kind of left Brad out here kind of hanging.
Brad's ready to go.
Brad's ready.
Brad, you're the make or break of this score. We'll just have
Brad,
we're like
Brad,
we got some over here and we got some over here. Where are we
Too many
going?
people talking right now. We get one at a time, fellas.
Brad, you're the man. Bring
All
us
right. Can I go?
Yes.
All right. So this,
Hold on, wait a second.
okay. I like this movie. I don't love the movie. It's one of those period like gangster movies for me. If I had like a top 50 list of movies, it definitely makes the cut. I think if you're a film buff or movie buff, whatever is your genre of movie, this has to be added to your list. It's one of those like must watch. At some point in your life, you got to sit down and watch Friday. If I ever met somebody who said they didn't see it, I would be like, stop whatever you're doing. You got to watch this movie one time. It's a one time, got to watch it. I kind of put this movie up there with other gangster flicks. Bronx Tale, a lot of those movies, man. Donnie Brasco, Casino. I never really watched this as a comedy. I always lumped it in as like a gangster movie, and back, I guess in the 90s, all the gangster movies were like mafia, mob movies. And then like they started making these counterculture, LA gang movies like Juice and Boys in the Hood and stuff like that. So, really enjoyable movie. It is super quotable. Some about Ice Cube movies just piss me off. I don't know why. I just don't think he's a very good actor. Chris Tucker definitely peaked and stole this movie. I think Chris Tucker after this, he did what? The Fifth Element, Rush Hour, and then he went to Epstein Island and we never saw him again in another movie. So, that being said, really fun movie. You definitely got to get the boys together with like a case of beer and sit around and you can just have a riot watching this. It's a runtime of an hour 30 minutes. That is a 90-minute movie. Bring back 90-minute movies. That is the optimal runtime. Yes. No more 3-hour epics. Ain't nobody got time to watch a 3-hour movie. 90 minutes. That's what they're supposed to be. I give it a 7.5. I like it. 7.5.
The Phantom is disappointed.
Not my score.
Oh, hey, that's honest. I like that, Brad. That's honest.
Yeah, 7.5. That's respectable. IMDb only gave it a 7.2. I'm above the average.
Look at William. Look at William. Let me tell you something, brother. Cup of coffee in the big time, okay?
And it's definitely not a Rogue One. It's a long shot from Rogue One.
Oh, come on, man. All I'm
Rogue
gonna
10.
is that it was actually
Okay.
made to be a counter, like the counter of Boys in the Hood.
I know. It's a highly watched, enjoyable movie, man. I've seen it 100 times. I've met Debo at a Vegas airport, and he was a dick. That's another reason why I scored it 7.5.
Well, see,
R.I.P.
Now you're letting your personal expectations.
Pour one out for the homie.
I mean, well, why was he such a jerk to you? That's what I want to know.
He wouldn't take a picture with us. We were veterans in the airport, and we identified ourselves as veterans. We demanded special treatment, and he said no.
Did you call him Zeus?
Yeah. I was like, that's why you a cross-eyed looking out. I was like, oh, I'm running. No, I'm playing. But he was not very friendly. And this was like way, he was like B-list Hollywood at this point. And I'm like, bro, not many people are asking to take pictures with you. Let's be honest.
Maybe that's why he was such a jerk.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Said something like that. Come on, man.
So
before we get Brad's pick for next week, Thomas, what do you got for a final score for us?
7.9.
7.9 on the Richter scale.
way off IMDb on this one, boys.
Well,
That's okay.
But Brad, I think that this
It's okay.
But I think that this is a guy's movie.
Definitely a guy's movie.
It's a guy's movie. Like if you actually sat down with your wife or your girlfriend, like this, or
both of them.
Or first of all, my wife ain't sitting down because she's busy cooking or cleaning something. So she's not sitting down to watch a movie.
That is a Bradford statement. That is not an Ed Sylvester statement whatsoever. Just want to make that clear for human resources purposes.
Maybe I'll roll the TV. I like in grade school, the TV on the cart. I'll roll it in the kitchen for her.
Hey, just so you know, I watched the Challenger explode on my couch. I came out and told my mom, and my mom was like, "I don't believe you." And I had to bring her in because I was homesick that day, so
Yeah.
I didn't see that, I didn't have that experience in school. Thank you very much.
Bradford, we're in suspense. What do you got for one watch next week?
So I look, guys, I already checked it out. I haven't seen it yet. This is a new movie for everybody. We're gonna first time watch for everybody. I already looked on Amazon Prime. You can rent it for $2 and like 62 cents. It's called Long Legs. It's a Nicolas Cage movie. Have you seen it?
Yep.
Damn it. Okay. Well, most of us haven't. I haven't seen it yet. It's super weird, really freaky. IMDb scores it kind of low, but Rotten Tomatoes gave it a pretty high score. So,
Okay. Now watch when I just watch it in one watch. Don't
yep,
watch it in parts because you're gonna miss the whole like
yep,
vibe of it. So yeah, it's definitely worth watching. That's definitely a one watch. Everybody knows the rules. Ed, you
yep.
got homework. $2.99 out of your piggy bank to watch Longer Legs.
Long Legs, starring the thespian of the century, Sir Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, you're better off
Oh, you
because
mean Nicholas Coppola?
you're better off because of the character, not saying that Nicolas Cage is even in the movie. You're
Yeah,
kind of ruining it already there, Brad.
no, people know he's in it.
So,
He
Bradford,
he nails
I
it.
want homework
Send
on
it
you.
home.
Choose this movie. Why? Why?
What?
Why did you choose this movie?
Because of I heard it's weird and I haven't seen it yet. And it's been on my list for like a year.
Okay.
It fits
Are
in
you
good
trying
with the.
to algorithm? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
All right, so homework for the next week. One watch. Get Shaggy on the phone. Tell him it's long legs. And Tom, you know what it's time for? We usually do some wrestling talk next.
Yep.
And Bradford, want to bring us quick up to speed on all things Road to WrestleMania.
Not a lot to talk about right now, but SmackDown shared some vignettes. How do you say that word?
Vignettes?
Yeah.
Vignettes. And everybody is thinking one, they flashed the number 4 and like some smoke and stuff in the background. And it's already been leaked. I don't know what 4 means to Aleister Black or Malachi Black, whatever he's going by, but he's supposed to debut sometime April. Man, I saw the date, April something.
25th.
What's
25th.
that? 25th. But I don't know. I don't get the reference to the number 4.
4 weeks.
Is that it? 4 weeks? Are they going to do 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks? I don't know. Then there's another vignette, and it was definitely Penta's brother. So,
Ray
um,
Phoenix.
I, yeah, I think that's coming down. And then there's some real life heat, and I love this drama with Jade Cargill and the rest of the women's locker room. She has apparently been like talking shit, and Shayna Baszler like called her out on it. And then Jade tried to say that she was trying to shoot on her in a match, and Shayna Baszler was like, "Look, dog, if I was shooting on you, you would know. Like there would be no question about it." And Shayna Baszler is like one of the few legit UFC fighters in women's WWE. So I just think it's awesome, dude. There's some heat there, bunch of controversy. I love it. But not a whole lot going on, man. I did notice the next like 5 or 6 shows of Raw, um, the WWE Live, and then SmackDowns. They're all overseas, and that kind of sucks because Raw's coming on at like 2 in the afternoon,
Yeah. 3.
3 like
Well, because
SmackDown was pre-taped, and by the time it happened, the whole show was leaked on Facebook, and I was like reading spoilers hours before they happened, and um, man, it's dumb. So I'm not a fan of them going over. The overseas crowds are really fun. They're super exciting. Like Friday night SmackDown was so intense because the crowd was so into it, man. But man, taking all the road to WrestleMania and then taking a huge chunk of these live shows overseas, that kind of sucks because there's not a lot of traveling that these guys can do. Like Jay Uso shared on his Instagram that he was still in the airports. He wasn't even in country yet. I think he's supposed to be there in Germany at some point. So it's just weird that the road to WrestleMania, usually it's like after WrestleMania, they take the overseas shows, the overseas tour. So I don't know, weird time to do it this time, but what else?
I had a
That's it.
surprise guest for the wrestling segment of the podcast. Dennis was on the hook for coming back with his review of Friday Night SmackDown, which he had watched, and he said he had notes for. And
Where is he?
it was his birthday weekend, so he had stuff to do with the family. So,
Lame.
yeah, I'm trying to get him back to do the wrestling recap, Rosie style, so that we can get some good critiques of his take on weekly wrestling. So that's good. And I've tried to remind him that Dark Side of the Ring was starting in not for next episode, but the one after that. So we'll be all in with that. I believe it's the 25th of March. Thomas, want to add anything to the road to WrestleMania, including anything Hall of Fame related?
I don't have anything Hall of Fame related, but I do have another WWE signing. They've signed a guy from New Japan, and it's funny, this guy, they seem to be signing all those guys that used to wrestle in the Pacific Northwest with Penta and Ray Fanix. Well, they signed Jeff Cobb, who's like
Oh,
a kind of I wouldn't be surprised if they put him with Chad Gable because he seems like he's a little bit more of a amateur wrestling background, but they've signed him to a contract, so he's supposed to be starting soon. So that's another guy they brought in.
a couple of appearances on AEW TV a couple of times, and
Yep.
Jeff Cobb's built like what's his name that got hurt there in the cage with his ankle.
Oh,
Bronson Reed. He's
Bronson
built a lot
Reed.
like Bronson Reed. Yeah, so
Ooh,
stuff to talk. Go ahead, Brad.
Andy, one more thing I caught on Instagram. Zilla, they share I think he shared the clip of him watching Monday Night Raw, and Kofi Kingston came out, and like a fan was holding like a foam finger that was like Zilla's thing, and Kofi ripped it off and threw it down. And then Zilla just like cut a promo. Zilla Fatu cut a promo and was like, there's gonna be payback for that. But it was like shared on his own personal stuff. But I'm like, man, really random that a random kid had the Zilla foam finger at a Monday Night Raw, right? Because like if your guy's not going to be there, why do you have their foam finger? You know what I mean? And then
Right.
Kofi kind of came down the ramp and went straight there and yanked it off. So I don't know. Maybe that's a sign of something that's about to pop off too. So a lot of Easter eggs.
So two things really quick, and I'm going to bring the Phantom in for this one because I had shared it on the Facebook page, not so much the first one. My Facebook post was I had shared the price tag that the WWE is charging for the VIP experience at the Hall of Fame. It's like $8,000, and it's just like unbelievable the amount of money that they would charge for these things when you know eh, everything's so expensive. It just who's going to pay the $8,000? And
Some of the
Somebody
people in the
will.
Hall of Fame probably never even made 8 grand.
that's true.
Yep.
That's true.
Somebody will pay it.
Yeah, they'll have somebody pay it, and usually the people that can afford that stuff aren't the hardcore wrestling fans that would actually really
Celebrities.
enjoy the experience of it. So,
Same as
um,
a Super Bowl, man.
yeah,
You,
that
you
Turn
got
it
to
into a
you pay
celebrity hangout.
you pay $8,000 to go to that, whether it's that or a show. You're not going to get one of those crowds like you see in Europe.
Nope.
That
no.
thing's going to be flat.
Yep, because they don't know. It's people buying the tickets that don't know. It's turned into a social hangout for celebrities.
You see it in pro sports.
Yep.
They price out all the common man, and they get all the corporate people there, and the people that are there are just there because they get tickets from work. They're not even fans, and they're bringing clients and all that. It's such a different atmosphere.
Yep. And dudes are starting to realize they can get camera time if they're B list or the careers have ended. They're not quite A list. They're kind of, low on the totem pole. Go to WWE show. You get plugged, you get on the camera. Maybe you even get to interact. Like it's starting to be a thing now.
So the other thing I want to bring up, speaking of celebrities, and I'm going to drag Ed into this too. Let's talk what Bully Ray said about the receipt for Travis Scott. Phantom, let's talk. What do you think?
Most of the stuff that he says, his takes are like me and him are aligned with the takes quite a bit. He pretty much said that when the receipt comes, if he was there, he would confront him about it. Like, yeah, you're bringing these guys into our world. They think that they're going to take liberties on the wrestlers because they're there on a one off, or I don't know if they think that they can just take it, or you know what I mean. Like, I don't know if if they don't know how to pull a punch or whatever, if they're trying to make it look real, or they're just getting caught up in the moment with it. But I mean, I don't know if that. I think that black guy there's a little bit of makeup in that too. I think they're playing it up as well. Like they know he smacked him one because like, look how many times have you ever been smacked or played wrestler, took a good one to the face. You ain't getting a black guy like that. It wasn't like you punched him in the eye. It was like an open hand. So I think they're playing into it a bit. But if I'm Cody and they somehow, some way work him in, he's eating one. He's taking one in the mush for sure.
So I'll die on this wrestling fan hill as long as they want to protect that business and say it's entertainment or whatever. It's still going to be legit. It's never going to be looked at more than a joke until you start pushing back a little bit. Until you start, nobody should be able to come into that world on a free ride and just be able to push one of those guys around. And what was great for letting celebrities push them around was the Big Show when they had him in WWE. They let the biggest guy in the company, one of the biggest guys ever, and you turn that guy into a joke a lot of times. So go ahead, Ryan.
Look when Umaga beat the shit out of the Jackass guys.
That's true.
He was like, you guys ain't coming in here. I'm giving you my finisher, and you're gonna pop up and be on the mat giggling and laughing. You're gonna knock him out cold.
It was Steve O that he did it to.
Yeah, so
Steve O was the one that popped up.
I'll leave you with a story, so after you can talk about your wrestling days that you got knocked out in the ring, and you're not making me look bad.
Ed, thoughts on celebrities coming into wrestling?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, it's great for business. And that's the truth. It's great for business, okay? Because if we look back, I mean, think about the rock and wrestling stuff with Mr. T and all of that shenanigans, right? But Piper and Orndorff, they didn't want them to get over, right? They didn't. And so, like, the thing about it is like, really what it comes down to is that, messing with somebody's livelihood, you're coming in from the outside. So should you take? Yeah. Now, I mean, Hogan always talks about it's about business. Okay, let's do business. Macho Man always did business, right? Hogan always talks about, Piper about not doing business, and he always talks about how much money they could have made and everything like that. But see, because I'm old school, like I want to see, because the thing is that in wrestling, the bad guys drive the needle. Those are the guys that you want, those guys when you're watching that old school wrestling. You want to feel that, man. I want this bad dude to win. I mean, some of my favorite wrestlers came in as bad guys. Like Road Warriors came in as bad guys. Nikita, he came in as a bad guy, right? He was a heel. Like all these guys, like, and so you bring in these people from out of the wrestling business. They gotta take their bumps, and like you look back to the Jerry Lawler stuff. That was great. That was awesome stuff. That's what it was all about. And like, what's his name? He took a power driver. I mean, he came on national TV.
Andy Kaufman.
Huh?
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah. When he came on national TV with the neck brace and everything like that, he sold it. Like that's what you want. Like the internet ruins the kayfabe part of it. It really does. Like I don't want to know. Like these guys that are in the back, shut up. Like shut up. Like stop telling the story before the story happens. Like there's so many different ways you can navigate it. And like the thing about it is it's all about making the pop. Like it's like, I mean, we grew up, Andy, you and I met what, 1985?
Allegedly.
And I mean, the first thing that we talked about was, you were like, WWE? what are you like, WWF? Or are you like NWA? And I looked at you and I said, well, I watch more WWF because that's more on TV, but I like the Superstation. And you pretty much looked at me in Mrs. LeBank's class, and we can now be friends. Did we just become best friends? I think we just became best friends. So, I mean, that's the thing about it is that that was like the realistic wrestling part of it. I mean, I remember going home and watching ESPN or ESPN2 when they were looking for content with like the Freebirds and the Von Erichs and stuff like that. And, I mean, I believe that you posted on the page earlier this week, it was the Dingo Warrior versus Abdul the Butcher, right? Like, that's what I grew up on. I grew up on the Fork. That's what I grew up with, I grew up fake blood. I mean, my hair used to be like blonde like Ric Flair's. I mean, if I remember correctly, there was one time I went home with all this fake blood in my hair. And my mother was like, what is wrong with your head? So, like, the thing about it is I want these guys that are coming in to take a bump. For real. You're coming into somebody else's money, and you're coming into, and like, you can make money, do business. That's my point. That was way too long. Sorry.
Good point, Ed. Good point, Ed. I think one of the best celebrities that ever, if you go back and ever do a deep dive into that golden age of wrestling with Cyndi Lauper, her character, she got it. She totally got it. When she got involved in that whole scene with trying to drag MTV into it and all that stuff, she totally got the kayfabe part of it. She played that, thing with Captain Lou, which led into the Roddy Piper thing, which the water settled the score, that whole thing. If you watch her, she really got why she was there, the kayfabe aspect of it. She never broke character. She never, winked at the camera like it was, phony or anything like that. So her and Piper always had that good, like when he would grab her and tell her all that stuff about, women should be in barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen and all that other stuff, like Brad has on his T-shirt. Allegedly.
She probably thought it was real.
Probably.
As she, Hogan, and Vince were sitting there drinking margaritas down on Cape Cod on the same street.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about celebrities. WrestleMania 1. They couldn't do it with just the wrestlers. They had to throw Mr. T right in the mix. So that already set the formula going forward for the next 40 years.
Well, I thought the build up for that WrestleMania was great because if you figure that Rocky 3 plus Mr. T being in that movie, but that was removed from like 1981. This is 85. So coming off how popular the A-Team was, they got
A-Team was huge, man.
Well, they got that whole 4 years of story kind of line in there where he came from, the movie, and brought Mr. T with him, and they never talked about he wasn't in the WWF all that time. He had recently come back a year before WrestleMania. So it's just funny how celebrities can do a lot for wrestling, but they can also ruin it too. So Brad, Tom, you want to add anything?
Just about. I just want to know what your thoughts, the group thoughts on the bloodbath the girls had in the AEW match, which, from what I've heard, it kind of stole the show.
I posted the picture of Tony Storm on the tread. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yep.
Phantom.
We finished taping last week, so shut it down. Go in the other room. My son's watching it. Ladies match just about to start. I was like, oh, here we go. Let's see what we got here. I'm a big Mariah May fan. Tony Storm can go in the ring. She's good too. What a match. This match was phenomenal. Like, I know it's like we like to bust the girls' chops a bit, saying how sometimes the matches are, a little green or too timely as far as where they're placed on the card.
Subpar.
Most, not always. Well, a lot of times.
Sometimes.
This 5 stars, best match on. They stole the show. It was so good. It could have been the main event.
That's big words.
If you haven't seen it, somehow do your best to like look it up. I mean, it does have like your typical AEW high spot stuff. Well, I mean, it's a part of the wrestling culture now. It's not ever going to get any worse. So I'm already like just desensitized. I'm kind of getting used to it. but they beat the hell out of each other. This was a physical match when it was done, and they had the blood, but it wasn't like John Moxley getting busted open for nothing. Like they earned the blood. Like it's a blow off match. They've been feuding for probably over a year. Great job by AEW. It was really, really good.
Ed, you wanted to add?
Well, no, I guess I wanted to ask the question, and Ryan, you answered it right at the end. That did it have a point to it? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing about this is that, look, if you build up all these feuds, right? Like, does it have a point? Does that match at the end, and does it have something that you can circle back onto at a later date to rebuild a feud to make business good? And that's where I come from. Like, I mean, if you look back, like we all grew up with really great wrestling, right?
Except for Brad.
Well, I mean, that's because Brad grew up where he grew up. I mean, we can't hold him accountable for that. I mean, it's not his fault that he was born 10 years too late. I mean, we can't hold him to that. Right? It's not his fault. But that's my question is that like the blood has to have a purpose. The matches have to have a purpose. And like for me, the biggest turnoff for me is like knowing what's going to happen before it happens. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Like the guys in the back, shut up. Shut up. Don't say nothing. You're killing business. That's my point. I'm gonna shut up.
Brad, before we move away from the wrestling, do you have anything to add to the segment?
It was a good match. I just don't know how many times AEW can go back to that well. Because Tony Storm, Mariah May, I swear to God, every time I open Facebook and Instagram, one of them is on there with a cut on their forehead and blood rolling down their face with the blonde hair and wearing a white outfit. Same with Moxley, man. Like the dude steps foot in the ring, he trips, comes up, and blood all over his face. And I'm like, how many times can you guys go to the well? Great match though, man. It really was. Compared to Stephanie Vaquer versus Julia on NXT on Tuesday night, which, by the way, Vaquer won. So now she's the NXT Women's Champ and the Women's North American something. I don't know. She's got two belts. She's got two titles. I don't know what they're going to do with that.
She is
But
hot.
I will say, if there was a woman in the industry who's going to have the hips and the glutes and the quad stability to wear two belts, two titles at the same time, it's Stephanie Vaquer. She literally hits the squat rack just so she could hoist up two titles like that. So props to her.
So, Bradford, that's your send off for the segment.
Yeah, sure.
What do you guys think? Like Cena's been off TV all this time.
Yeah.
When he comes back, what's his look going to be?
More bald.
Is he going to be totally bald? Is he going to be toupee like he was on this like movie set that everybody's taking film of him? Is it going to be old school? I'm a heel now. I got a beard. Hulk Hogan.
I saw some shit. He had like a mustache and a goatee.
Yeah, I'm like, I saw one where he had like kind of like a big gray goatee. It actually looked way better on than it does.
You know what we need to do? Instead of watching like every episode of Dark Side, what was that freaking show on E that was John Cena being an absolute menace while he was dating Nikki Bella?
Oh, that was the Bella show there.
We need to watch that because every now and then I'll catch a clip and John Cena's like, hold up, you made me dinner? These are marble countertops. You didn't put a mat down? Get out of here. We need to watch every episode of that and critique it on the show. That would be hilarious.
And you have those in your DVR, right?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good man. All right.
You can find them on YouTube, man. They're hilarious.
We're going to get into the sports stuff. So why don't you knock one out of the park with Tom's Shitty Picks?
All righty. Tom's Shitty Picks is brought to you by Brock Street Brewing Company, located at 244 Brock Street South in Whitby, Ontario. Everything's brewed in-house, including their hard iced teas, their beers, vodka sodas, and their hard seltzers. So if you're in the Whitby area, go check them out and tell them the 1973 podcast sent you.
Yeah, don't be cheap. Buy a beer.
So this week, tonight, a couple hours ago, hot off the press is the NCAA men's bracket came out, so I'm going to give you my picks for the Final Four right now. So I'm going with Auburn, Alabama, St. John's, and Houston, and I'm going with Alabama to win it all.
Are you talking about football for half of the bracket?
No way. Basketball, baby. Expand your horizons, Ed.
Basketball? What's that? Is that the ball that you go to?
Well, Tom, you did a good segue there because Scotty said more basketball. So you use Broad Street Brewery, sponsorship for some basketball
Yeah,
talk.
of course. Do we have a record for the Celtics, Thomas?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. We'll just keep it like that. We'll keep it like that.
They are they've got the third best record in basketball. I will say that.
Speaking of basketball, there was some NFL moves, right?
Well, right there for the past 15 seconds, that's more basketball talk than what we normally have. So we're doing well for us one.
Yes, we are.
Is Aaron Rodgers on the Brett Favre tour? Is he going to go Green Bay, Jets, Vikings?
I hope so, buddy.
That's so bad. It's like, you can't make this shit up.
I hope so. There's no better fit than him going to Minnesota. It's got to be Minnesota.
I don't know, man. He followed up Wilson and actually did worse than Wilson. He's actually going to go to a team that was like that actually had a good record. That they're going to walk away. They're going to walk away from their starter and bring him in.
Yep.
I need a GM job somewhere, please. Somebody give me a call. I need money.
Well, sorry, I think both you and Brad should be the GM and the assistant GM. You guys can fight over the title and go to Dallas.
Don't even get me started on that.
No,
bargain bin.
He still makes too much money to go to Dallas.
Bargain bin, dumpster diving our free agent picks.
I want to know what you guys think about the Twitter war with Dexter Lawrence and Micah. I thought Lawrence kind of won that one with his last comment, but
D-Law and Micah, I mean, they've been beat. The thing is, people on the outside think that beef just started. They've been beefing since the day Micah Parsons got on the field. And it's because Micah Parsons played defensive end better than DeMarcus Lawrence did. And Micah Parsons was supposed to play linebacker. So I don't know. Any kind of heat is fun though. Any kind of heat.
So who do you guys think won the first week of free agency? Mike personally, I think the Bears. They weren't really sexy with their picks, but they got 3 new starting offensive linemen for Caleb Williams and 3 new defensive linemen. Probably 2 of them will start. So I think with the weapons they had and with Minnesota's quarterback kind of up in the air, Green Bay, you never know how they're going to do. Do you think they win the division now or at least fight for the playoff spot?
No, I think Vegas won the free agency with Pete Carroll as the head coach. I mean, the thing about it is that you bring in Pete Carroll. Like, look, he coached for the Patriots, and there were a lot of issues in the front office with Bonnie Greer. Why that turned into such a problem was not because of Pete Carroll. Because Pete Carroll, no matter where he's gone, he's had winning seasons. Whether you agree with what he did at USC and whatnot, that's what he was given, and he turned that around, and he won a Super Bowl. And the thing about it is like if you look at it is that Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia, they baited them into throwing that pass when they had the best running back in short yardage situations during the Super Bowl. So quite frankly, I think the Raiders won everything.
Did you really win if you get Geno Smith as your quarterback, though?
But here's the thing. But this is Thomas. I'm going to.
He's better than anything they've had.
They're from Gardner Minshew to Geno, so I mean.
But Thomas, my question is that did they actually protect Geno Smith? He didn't have a good offensive line in Seattle.
They didn't really. When he first got there, they ran the ball more than they.
Right. But my question is that so they get rid of Geno Smith and they get rid of DJ Metcalf. I mean, what are you doing? What is your plan there? What is your plan?
How about the Steelers get DK Metcalf and they don't even have a quarterback?
Well, they'll sign they'll said Mr. They're gonna sign what's his name, Aaron Rodgers. They're gonna sign him. I'm telling you, they're gonna
Think
sign
that's
him.
where he's going?
I think so. I think that's where he's gonna go. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, because the thing about it is that if you look at Aaron Rodgers' last 9 games, he played great. He really played really good on a really crappy team with, an interim head coach. You had, and that the Jets franchise is such a freaking dysfunctional place to be, you know. And the thing about it is, if you look at his stats the last 9 games, Aaron Rodgers played really, really well. He didn't play bad. I mean, he just played for a bad team. Like there was bad leadership.
Only took him half a year to warm up. But
Oh,
But Tom, think about this. I mean, on exception of Brad, who can, because Brad's 10 years younger than we are. But think about this. It takes a while for the four of us to warm up a bit.
yes, but we're not getting paid $20 million
But it
to
doesn't matter. Like you tear your Achilles and like you try to get out on that turf and you get out there with them. I ask you that question. I'm being
Nah, he should
serious.
have just hit the old ayahuasca and then gone out and he would have played just fine.
But he did. And that's why he
Not enough ayahuasca in a season. That's where Aaron Rodgers failed.
Hey, I'm telling you,
He would have played like the man in the black cat was chasing him on the field. He would have been lights out.
lights out, baby.
I want to see him go to Pittsburgh just so Mike Tomlin can fucking strangle him because those two will not they will not make a full season together.
I thought I saw actually he's supposed to the Giants are in the running.
Why would he ever want to go to the Giants? The Giants are the biggest dumpster fire. I mean, they're worse than the Cowboys. I mean, you get rid of Saquon Barkley. I mean, seriously, are you freaking high? Seriously, no.
They have Neighbors at wide receiver.
He got Malik Neighbors though.
Yep.
Yeah, great. Great. That's great that the Giants have a great defensive line, but that's it. What else you got?
They got that Italian guy, hey, that plays quarterback.
Tommy DeVito.
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, seriously now. I mean, I think that the Bills made a pretty good splash.
How about Myles Garrett saying, "I want out of here," and I was like, "Oh, it wasn't about the money."
Yeah.
It was about the money, Ryan. It was about the money. Anytime anybody says in pro sports it's not about the money, and then all of a sudden they sign a contract, it's about the money. That's good.
Everything's always about the money.
It's about the money.
It's about the money.
Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions.
There you go, Big Worm.
Perm. What's up, Big Perm? I mean, Worm.
So my thing about it is that the thing is that they have Deshaun Watson. They have him on something.
Who just got married, by the way. Congratulations.
No, he did not. Did he wear his Achilles brace or not?
He married some woman. I don't know.
I don't
Not
know.
a masseuse.
Was it the chick that was on the side of the road when he was without his Achilles brace on? Yeah, that's right. I said it. What you gonna do about it? What are you gonna say? I said it. Huh? I said it. Yeah, I said it. Huh? What? Yeah, I said it. Just saying.
You guys want to move on from the football talk?
I guess it's tinfoil hat time.
It must be time. It's time.
No, it is storybook time.
Storybook time.
There we go. Elliot.
Thomas,
Alrighty.
you know how we do it.
The 1973 podcast is now fueled by W Energy, but it wasn't always this way. W
No.
Energy was born from humble beginnings, an idea sparked in a small apartment when their founder Anthony set out to take on the energy drink giants, aka Big Energy. After trying a big name competitor's product and being disappointed by the taste and poor quality ingredients, Anthony knew he could do better, so he dove deep into formulation, mastering ingredients, flavors, and performance to create an energy drink that works without the jitters, crashes, sugars, artificial dyes, or calories. W launched with just one flavor and reinvested every penny to grow. Now we've crafted 15 plus custom-made flavors enjoyed by thousands of loyal customers every month. So are you ready to break free from Big Energy? Go to www.w.gg and use code 1973podcast at the checkout for 10% off your order. W Energy, no jitters, no crash, just pure focus. Now back to the 1973 podcast.
Bradford, are you ready to put on your Reynolds wrap.
Yes. I just want to say whether I'm reading Loving Elliot, a fitting tribute to Undying Love by Andy Clark, or whether I'm researching conspiracy theories for the show, W Energy gets me pumped, gets me hype. Um, Good stuff there. Thanks for that, Tom. So the tinfoil hat is going to be something we haven't really talked about yet, and it gets kind of forgot about, I think, and that is the Playboy Mansion Hugh Hefner grotto parties. Like, let's talk about this because this was like pre Epstein, pre Diddy party, but the same shit was going on. There were tunnels under the Playboy Mansion, there were tunnels under Diddy's mansion. They were running people back and forth under the Playboy Mansion. I mean, there were tunnels big enough for cars. So they were driving people secretly through these neighborhoods in Hollywood underground
Bill Cosby?
to get back and forth to these Playboy mansions, these mansion parties. So let's talk about who attended these Playboy mansion parties. Bill Cosby, known essayer, right? Kevin Spacey, known essayer. You guys know what I mean when I say essayer? I can't say the word because we'll get shadow banned.
You
I
know,
don't understand what
Woody Allen, known essayer. Leonardo DiCaprio likes to date women like in their teens and their 20s, even though he's, my age.
18s?
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino, another known Hollywood essayer. And then you look at this list and went to the Playboy Mansion at those parties. Guess what other parties they went to? Those same people went to Epstein's Island.
No.
Those same people went to freaking Diddy parties, man. Like, you should be able to make a list of the Playboy Mansion, Epstein, and Diddy and cross reference those three parties. And if there's a name or names on all three of those, the FBI should definitely be investigating. You know what I'm saying? They're like super predators. If you're on two of the three, you're a high level predator. And if you're only on one of those lists, then you would just be like the standard Hollywood predator. But there's tons and tons of videos on TikTok where women are coming forward being like, yo, those parties weren't just like photo ops and like fun times. Like people were getting assaulted and they were getting roofied and there was, human trafficking going on and everybody turned a blind eye. Matter of fact, I remember when Hugh Hefner died, bro, they celebrated that man's death and his life. He had like a biopic. It was on E. Every TV station and news channels like, oh, this man, Hugh Hefner, what a great guy. He passed away, this and that. They celebrated this dude. He was public enemy number one before we even knew that the celebs and the elites were doing stuff like this. So super crazy stuff, man.
the bathrobe didn't do it for you, Brad.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Was the bath? Go ahead, Ed.
I just want to say this is I think it really destroys the illusion that a lot of us were under of that we just kind of thought there were certain things that how things were. I do believe that Hugh Hefner, I believe that his family was on the Mayflower, if I remember correctly. His family was on the Mayflower charter along with Tom Hanks and Marilyn Monroe. And, they're all kind of interconnected. Just saying. It's funny how that kind of works out.
Wow.
And I think that it's kind of like one of those things that's kind of sad because, like we all kind of think of, from our generation, whether it's right or wrong. And like we look at it as we always kind of thought that, with Playboy, I always kind of presented nudity at kind of like a very kind of like classy and kind of there was a kind of a mystique about it that there was something that it made it kind of special is probably the wrong word for it. I would say it probably kind of made it as like it just kind of just made it classy. That's probably the best word for it. It kind of made it classy. And then to hear all this shadiness that happened, with allegedly with Soul Train and the guy that did that, and then you hear Bill
Don Cornelius.
What's up, man?
Don Cornelius.
Yeah, Don Cornelius and Bill Cosby, and you hear all this stuff and all the shadiness that happened. It's really kind of sad, it just kind of, it kind of like, and none of us ever really knew that. You know, we just kind of took it such at face value.
And I'm going to take the high road on this one. I love Playboy magazine.
Only for the
He's been a
articles.
subscriber
Only for the
since
articles.
1990.
Listen, I got a whole eaves in my house full of them. Still sitting there. There was it was a generational thing. You grew up in an age of innocence where there's no cell phones, and if you were a young kid, I mean, the only way you were seeing anything like that is if you stumbled across it. There was no going on your phone. Everything was innocent. They made movies about it. People have written songs about it. The only way that you end up getting to that next thing of the age of innocence is, you found one in the woods with your buddies when you were riding bikes or something like that, stuff that you weren't allowed to see. That's the thing I think of when you, for all the
Or Elvis bucks your friend's house.
even before that, that's a one-off. We're talking about like every kid in America that grew up outside riding bikes and playing with their buddies. That's what the whole Playboy lifestyle reminds me of is the way to see an older woman in a way that you don't usually see. And then you're like, well, I know what you like, and this is what it is. And, so the whole conspiracy theory of what Brad's talking about is kind of tainted that whole image of the kid that grew up in Gen X, or the kid that grew up in the 1960s that grew up looking at the ladies a certain way, and I think it's all ruined after the fact that Hugh Hefner passed away. So it's unfortunate that that's what was going on, but as a kid, and into being a young guy, that's never ever thought you just thought that was the creme de la creme of stuff to look at, or aspire to want to find. I will say, I'm trying to tiptoe around the correct words on this one. Phantom, you want to add to it?
I do. It's story time with the Phantom.
I know what you're gonna say.
So, as a young man, I often frequented many places with Mr. Andrew and friends, but we were led by Andy's father, who was driving us all around Massachusetts to card shows, flea markets,
and Rhode Island. Also
Rhode Island, Raynham, you name it. So we go to one of these flea markets. We're walking around, and so we used to go to them to pretty much to buy cards. We'll go over there, look at the hockey cards or whatever. So we're looking at these tables, and me, Andy, and a friend of ours, a kid named Matt, happen to be with us. And I come across this table, and underneath, the guy has a whole tote full of Playboys.
Huge.
So I spot it, and I'm like, hey, dude, this guy's got fucking magazines down here. So it's like in the open. We go down, start flipping through the pages a little bit. I said to the guy, hey, how much for this tote? The guy sells us the whole tote for like $2. They had like 18 Playboys in it. So we got him. How old were we? Like 16? So we're walking around with it. It didn't have a cover, so we got the tote. We're walking with it like this, going through the thing, and we're waiting to see Andy's father. So he comes up. He's like, "Oh, you guys all set?" And it's like, "Look what we bought!" And he's like, "Oh man!" So we end up taking the tote. We bring it to Andy's. We spread them out. We got them all on the floor. So they got the Madonna issue, Bo Derek, you name it. We're trading them like trading cards. So we split them all up and then tried to sneak them all home and try to hide them like under your bed or wherever your spot was. I'll never forget. That was awesome. Thanks, you.
So the nuance of things like that is kind of what I was talking about. Just you're innocent. You know what you like, and you strike gold at times with certain things, and it's sad that the whole thing was just an undercover, as Brad would say, psyop.
Well, you kind of think about it, and it's like, so you mean to tell me the guy that walked around with a bathrobe all the time, that was known for putting young girls naked in a magazine and then trying to say that the articles was good was the reason why you were watching it, isn't a stand-up guy? I think he pretty much told everybody what he was.
The professor, you want to add to this?
It's stuff like that is so rampant in Hollywood, and it's all starting to come out now. You just had Ione Skye come out. She's writing a book, and she just came out in the book, and I guess she's on talk shows talking about it. And I guess she had an abortion. She had sex with Anthony Kiedis, and she was only, I think, 16 years old at the time. So he paid for her to have an abortion. But there's all kinds of stories about him. I mean, he has it out in the open. He put it in his book about how he had sex with underage girls when he was on heroin. So it's more and more is coming out with more and more people.
Bradford, do you want to put a period at the end of the sentence for the tinfoil hat?
Bro, even Steven Tyler wrote his book and admitted to buying a 13-year-old girl from the parents. It took her on tour, like, and everybody was okay with it. Freaking weird, man.
Yeah, if you look at some of the songs, they were written about,
Yeah,
underage stuff. So
yeah, weird.
Yeah. 17, man.
Yeah, weird.
yeah, well, Winger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, super. Elvis Presley. Who's that dude that played the piano? Great Balls of Fire.
Jerry
Lee
Lewis.
Jerry
Jerry
Lewis.
Lee Lewis. Yeah, another one.
I mean, Bob Joyce, just go to his choice church, Brad. Go to Bob Joyce's church, man.
Weird. Bunch of weirdos, man.
I mean, Bob Joyce's church in Tennessee, baby.
Yeah.
Isn't it ironic that Priscilla was there and no sharks with lasers, but same guitar? Just saying.
It's weird.
Speaking of that stuff, just to get off of the tinfoil hat before we wrap this up, Brad, you watch
Wrap it.
Righteous Gemstones?
I've heard of it. I've watched a few episodes, but I got to sit down, bro. I have so many shows I need to watch.
Dude, you got to watch that.
The thing is, I have a list of shows, but I can't get to them because I'm on this thing called the 1973 podcast that requires I watch other movies and shows
So
for
like Brad said,
content.
you sound just like Ed when you say that stuff. I can't. I don't want to hear anymore. I can't. That's not
Okay,
a
I'll just tell Elon Musk.
Why are you tossing this stuff on me there?
Look, when Elon asks for my 5 bullet points, I'm gonna be like, hold up, Emperor Elon. Andy was first. He said I gotta watch these shows at work because it's the only time I have to do it.
at work. Self-incriminating. I love it.
Yeah.
Almost, I believe I have a 92% occupancy rating here. Okay,
Well,
call me out on this.
you got to work on that.
You got me beat.
Mr. Clark.
You should be 100% occupancy rate.
Hey.
92 is rookie numbers.
I don't know. I believe that we have
You
some.
got to pump those numbers up, baby.
Hey! Look at you! Look at here, William.
Hey, listen here, Ed. Why don't you start with the shout out, seeing that you have the floor?
I'll have the floor then. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you very much. It has been exactly a year since my going away party from the old great state of the landmass. So I'd like to say thank you very much to those people, being Tim, Erica, Peggy, and Alex. Very much. I really appreciate the fact that you guys set me off in style. I greatly appreciate it. So thank you.
Ed, you can't mention anybody that doesn't watch the show.
They actually watch the show.
Okay, good.
They
Good.
do.
We like to hear that. Solid numbers.
And then lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to Lee. Fuck cancer. And stage 4 throat cancer. And a fucking really shitty thing. So fuck cancer, man.
Tom, you got to finish. You got to.
Thanks, man. Make me follow that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick shout out to our #1 fan, Darren. He did the New Bedford half marathon today. He did it in 1 hour and 54 minutes.
Hell yeah, Darren.
At the time,
yeah.
when he texted me, he said he was 20th in the 50 and over age bracket out of 200 runners. So good job, Darren.
Yeah, awesome. I told him, I don't know if you saw on the YouTube channel, he had posted that, and I told him that we were mentioning it during the shout out. So go get it, Darren. Bradford, what do you got?
Oh, what do I have? Buddies, do you know what today is?
No.
Day
It's
before.
March 16th. It is officially Austin 316 Day. Can I get a hell yeah?
Oh yeah.
Phantom.
Drink a beer. Hell yeah.
Let's see. I'll shout out our buddy, Mr. Louie. Me and the professor did a fantasy baseball draft today, and we're hanging out at the draft, and always when it gets towards the end, Mr. Louie's all like, "Where are we going when we leave here?" So we kind of fell into the Louis vortex for a good 3 hours before we came on. So it's always good to see Louis because he always brings me back to my youth. He's the guy that tells me stories that are about me that I don't remember.
Oh, those are the best. Those are the best. I get those all the time. Those are the best.
Well, fellas, I guess we're going to wrap it up for this week. That's your 1973 podcast, and we're rolling. W Energy, right?
Peace.